Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in a few minutes. If you could go ahead and take your seats and get settled. Thank you all for attending our second annual Business Community Forum. We're grateful for all the people in the room today to talk with us about how we can support local businesses and our workforce and our economy. We have a regular standing subcommittee for business retention and economic development. We hold those meetings every month. So really this is an extension of that and the collaborative work that happens at those meetings where we really want to hear from you, and this is an opportunity really for informally to hear from people who own local businesses, people who work in local businesses, residents who care about our economy, how we can best support you and your work. So we're going to present about the work that we've done in the last year or so, all the business incentives and different programs and services that we've done this year, and then sort of start to think about what we should accomplish in the next year. And really this is an opportunity, like I said, not to speak at you, but just to listen. A lot of the ideas that came out of the last business retention forum like this that we held about a year ago, we got an amazing ideas about how to support local businesses, and we implemented a number of those. So really grateful for the people who took the time out today to be here and to participate. Do you want to add anything to that before I pass it over? No. We have a short presentation for you from our Business Retention Subcommittee for our Community Business Forum about the work that we've done for the past year. If you have questions or comments, if you could note those down, we'll just do a short presentation. We have a short video for you, and then we'll open it up to comments, feedback, questions. We have city staff here I'll introduce our city manager who can introduce the city staff is here to answer questions and really be at your service and talk about how Palm Springs is open for business.
Sure, and just to add my welcome, if you do want to ask a question, make comments, there are yellow cards, please fill those out. The benefit of doing this in a more informal way is we can actually try and answer questions, unlike a city council meeting where legally we can't interact with and go back and forth unless something's on the agenda. The whole agenda is business retention, economic development, so we have a lot more flexibility on how we do things, and we try and keep this a lot more informal than we do at a council meeting. So it really gives us a chance to engage if there are some things you want information on or need feedback on. So I just want to add that, and please fill out cards when you're ready to speak.
So I'll pass it over to our city manager, Dr. David Reddy, who's going to introduce city staff and then has a short presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm David, city manager, and we're going to do a short presentation, then we have a video. But before we start, I just want to let you know we have several department heads. Could you please stand, our department heads who are here? The chief's here, Flynn, planning, Amy, and of course up here, Jay Verada, Marcus Fuller, assistant city manager, and this is, you have met Jean-Paul, who is our assistant city clerk. He's helping us out today as well, and of course Cindy, who is my special assistant. So with that, we're going to do this presentation, then I'm going to turn it back over to the subcommittee. And Jay, will you join us, please? Now, I don't have a lot of patience for long PowerPoint, so I'm going to go through and hit the highlights of this PowerPoint because the focus today is for you to ask the questions. But before we get started, I would like Jay to just introduce, there are some people in the back, resources that may be helpful to you, and you can see them on your way out.
I think I've got it. Okay, if I could ask some of our visitors from the back to please stand or wave your hands when I call your name so that the businesses here will know who to make contact with. We'd appreciate it. Nona, are you, there she is, President of the Chamber, CEO. Joy Brown Meredith, and Joy's in the back over there. Main Street, Palm Springs. David Powell, right over here. And Davis Meyer with Greater Palm Springs CVB. She's over there at the table. And I want to note Dave Powell is with LGBT Chamber and Desert Business Association. We also have, if she's here, she may be out of town, Mary Jo, representation from the, not here, it looks like. Okay. And Natalie Orta with the United States Small Business Administration. Natalie, thank you very much. Sheila Thornton or Paul Olson. Sheila's here. Hi, Sheila. Paul, great. Thank you very much. One Future Palm Springs.
Coachella Valley.
I'm sorry, Coachella Valley. Okay. Joaquin Tejerina, Director of Small Business Development Center, very valuable resource. Rob Moran, Economic Development Manager for Riverside County Economic Development. Thank you, Rob. And Mr. Joe Wallace, CEO and Chief Innovation Officer, Coachella Valley Association of Governments, waving his hands back in the back. Economic Partnership, I'm sorry. And anyone else I did not mention who we asked to come by, and please stand and let us know you're here. Great, thank you all very much.
If I could just add before you do your presentation, one thing that came from our subcommittee work is that small business owners and people in the community came and said there are a lot of resources and services for economic development in the Coachella Valley, but we don't always bring them all together. So that's why we really wanted, as a service to the community, make sure that these leaders who are leading economic development in Palm Springs and throughout the Coachella Valley are really here as a resource. So please get their resources, sign up, and learn more about their services for local businesses and workers.
All right, we're going to begin. This first slide, Jay, actually, I would like you just to run through this quickly. So this is the things that the subcommittee has done over the last year in terms of presentations.
Right. We have had some of these groups come out and speak to the Business Retention Subcommittee to inform us all about the services they provide and what opportunities are available to businesses in Palm Springs. Riverside County Workforce Development, if you're doing any job training, they have a program that can pay for 50% of the staff being trained. One Future Coachella Valley, making great strides with aligning education of our youth with the needs of industry today. Small Business Development Center, new businesses and startup businesses can utilize our resources to put together a business plan. I think if you're expanding or starting up, one of the first things you'll find is the banks are going to ask you, do you have a business plan? So it's a great place to start. Coachella Valley Economic Partnership for the entrepreneurs out there. If you have ideas you want to develop, we've got an incubator, the iHub, that helps develop your ideas and brings it forward and helps you bring it to reality. And we've also had discussions with our Business Retention Subcommittee on innovative ideas such as Pop-Up Palm Springs, which was an event used to bring more attention to our merchants. We are planning to enter or evaluate the possibility of getting into a contract with Buxton, who will provide retail analytics that we share with our businesses to help them market themselves better. And we had some great ideas on Palm Springs Food Truck Park, for areas that are for special events and such.
Thank you, Jay. All right, we're going to move on. So the incentives and the resources that the subcommittee has been doing, the facade improvement program that has been around for several years, the City Council has reinvigorated that. They've added some additional dollars. As you can see, it's a citywide program, and it can be a matching grant of up to $5,000. So we'd encourage you to utilize that program. We've had quite a few. Here's just a few pictures. And you can see the before and after, that it makes a difference. Next, the hotel incentive program. That has been a key component of our whole incentive program and our whole business modification, what we've been doing for renewal over the last probably 8 to 9 years. What City Council is asked to do is to do a second phase of that. In essence, we're reinvigorating it. The subcommittee has asked that this time, though, the important thing is it is for small hotels are now eligible. They really weren't eligible before because the investment had to be too great. In this program, it was important to the subcommittee that all our boutique small hotels would be able to participate in this program. So as you can see there, they have a lower 5,000 per room, which is going to make it within reach of most small hotels. And this will be a huge important component because we certainly know what the hotel incentive program has done for the large hotels, and we hope that this does the same thing for the smaller hotels as well. Other resources, and I won't go through each one of these, but there's a whole group of them, Riverside and the state, and you certainly can contact our office and Jay and the website for all the information on these programs. Now, economic development funding. So, as you can appreciate, we put a significant amount of money every year what City Council appropriates for our whole tourism industry, from the convention center to the golf courses to all the things that we do. That being said, what City Council had asked to do this year from the subcommittee is we put a specific pot of approximately $700,000 over 2 years, $350 a year, to be in a pot, in essence, to do special economic development things for our businesses, for the downtown, small businesses, and actually tonight we're looking for your input in how that money can best be spent. Okay, public-private partnership financing. The world is changing in a bit since redevelopment went away. Part of what's occurring are these new kind of tools. Some have been around, some have been modified. They're sort of very sort of technical, and we won't get into them, but we're going to start to have some financing tools available to us in addition to the resources that we can bring to the table already, including some of these tax credits, and particularly the SB 5 pending legislation, which is going to obviously modify a lot of the things that we're going to be able to do. I would also note that these financing districts are tools that we're going to start to use, and we'll be getting more and more information for you on those as well. So marketing and promotion. Obviously, as you can appreciate, we spend a significant amount of money in marketing every year with our whole tourism bureau and also with the CVB, but we're also trying to do our best to market small businesses, the downtown, uptown, and so there's a range of things that we've done. One of the things that I would like to point out here, this Buxton Retail Analysis, which is an interesting thing we can do for our small businesses. What the subcommittee has asked, and it's on the council agenda next week, a contract with the Buxton Group. In essence, we're going to have access to their analytics of particularly, is it Visa or MasterCard? Visa. Visa charges, Visa card data. So in essence, what the subcommittee has asked is that information be available to all our businesses. So once we get that up and running, you obviously would have access to some of that important data. And then here's just other list of things that we're doing to help get the word out of the things we're doing and how we can actually be of assistance. A couple small programs, uniquely Palm Springs, was what the subcommittee asked to do in terms of creating extra things for our businesses, for our small businesses, for things particularly unique to Palm Springs, which obviously we know what they are, our boutique hotels, our uptown, the galleries, the shops, downtown area, things that are not big brands, but things that are unique to Palm Springs. The pop-up Palm Springs is another example of these kinds of events. And then I would just leave here with the Food Desert Solutions, which was, it started when we were trying to figure out how do we get grocery stores in underserved areas, such as North Palm Springs, northern end of Palm Springs. It's a tough challenge, as you can appreciate, but one of the things that we found and what the subcommittee is asked to do is contracted with Fine Food Bank, and so is it, Christy, twice a month? I think twice a month, the Fine Food Bank, they're up at the Desert Highland Center, and they're distributing food. So that's a start of one of the things, good positive things that we can do. Now, process improvements. I've got, the next 5 slides have a lot of information, and I'm just going to give you the highlights because I'm very excited about this. For the 19 and a half years that I've been city manager, the question has always been, how do you be more business friendly? And over the years, we've made some significant changes, but as you can also appreciate, there's always more work to do. And so we're in a position now where the council has asked us to come up with some solutions for a few of the final things that we need to fix. And so I'm going to go through with them generally right now. 1, our technology sucks. You would agree. We're getting better thanks to Aaron. Aaron, where are you? Aaron, stand up. That man right there, He has brought us out of the dark ages
Into 1982.
into 1982. But he has a plan. He has a plan to get us moving beyond the stars. And so we're following that plan. But what this is here and how this is going to get us there, basically it's called the Enterprise Resource Planner System. I said, Aaron, what is that? So the bottom line to all this right here, all these things, is our technology is going to be on a platform that things can be submitted online. You will have real-time updates. You can see it. You can track it. Department to department is going to have the information. So it will make things much smoother as you get into our development process for large and small things, whether you just want a permit for a hot water heater or you're doing a major redevelopment project, and anything in between. So we're very excited about this. That's the good news. The downside is it's probably about, Aaron, help me here, 1.5 years to full implementation, 2 years, 1 to 2 years. Council has already appropriated the dollars, and the price tag, Aaron, is about the about $3 million. So we're serious about it. Council has appropriated, they want it done, and it will happen. Okay, next one. Revised planning entitlement process. That has been the real issue, I think. Council says, okay, what can we do stepping out of the box, pushing the envelope to actually make it better? One of the things that I think you can appreciate have been a problem is the back and forth between planning and architectural review. Both of those bodies are extremely important. They serve critically important functions. Council depends on their opinion and recommendation. But what we're going to do a little differently is, as you can appreciate, things will go to planning and then to architectural review. They want modifications. Then maybe they're going to look at it 3 or 4 times. It might go back to planning. It might go back. You know how it goes. Not all projects, but some. What this is going to do is it's going to restrict, basically council is going to say, planning, great. You guys are going to do your job. Architectural review is going to have a chance to look at it, but they can't continue it and bring it back. It's either approve it, deny it, or give it conditions. And then you can condition it all you want, but we've got to keep the process moving. And the same to the Planning Commission. So those are some of the important changes that council's making, which we think will streamline the process and get your final project out the door or up to the city council. A couple other things that we can do here. So that's limiting the number of times it can be reviewed by AAC and Planning Commission. I want to highlight our pre-application review project, whether you're a large or a small project. Maybe it's challenging, maybe it's complicated, maybe you just need general information of what's going to happen with this project. What are the roadblocks? Please do not hesitate to ask for a pre-planning application review. We'll get everyone around the table who needs to be there, that we can look at your plan and just give you the general idea of the challenges we see and what will be problem areas and, more importantly, how we can help. Finally, some zoning codes and that we can adopt, particularly that will allow for, let's see, some things may not need to go to Planning Commission and architectural review. Council is going to give us a little bit more discretion on those as well. And then finally, some of the aesthetic standards. When I first got here, it was confusing, like, well, why do we care what color people paint their buildings? Well, I've come to understand there's reasons for that. But what council was saying, well, why not just maybe formally standardize some of these things so there's not as much process involved in getting you your approval. So this is sort of the main thing that we're doing, and I think this will have a significant effect. Finally, all right?
Yeah.
The Concierge and Permit Center, this is important only because we did have a concierge position. That person retired. We converted that to a planner to help with quicker things through planning department. That was good, but we think we need to go back to the concierge. The subcommittee has asked for it, so we're going to create that position, which is going to help people when they walk into the planning department or the whole area. So it's sort of a one-stop shop that we have: engineering, planning, and building. We're also going to add a third permit center technician. This is what we're going to be asking council to do, and I think they certainly will be willing to do that. So in essence, when you walk up to the plan check side, there's going to be more technicians there. You won't have to wait as long, and they can handle it. I would just say as part of it, what the big debate has been, do you send contracts out for plan check, or do we do it in-house? Now, we used to do it in-house, most of them, but it seemed to be too slow, so we sent it out to make it quicker. But now, sending it out seems like it's not making it quicker, it might be slowing it down. So now what we're really focusing on is maybe we need a little bit more of a hybrid, where we keep more in-house, send certain ones out, but more importantly, and what I think this subcommittee is going to remind us tonight as staff, that if plan check says one thing, they can't say something else later, that we got to be consistent, all right? So those are the things and processes we're working on. Marcus Fuller, who heads this whole area along with Gil. Gil, are you here? Gil's here. There he is, my building official. They're very focused on making sure we improve that process. So that's what I would just note, and I would just, this last approved by plan supervisor position is being recruited now, our plan check supervisor, so that's going to allow us to do more plan checks in-house. And then finally, this is just a quick thing, we probably need to remodel our permit center. We need to make it a nicer space. We need better signage. We need better technology. So we're going to do sort of this list of things here that will be able to, when you come in, you're going to have a better place to be, even while you're waiting. We're going to have technology there. We're going to have better signage. So whether you don't know what to do, what steps you have to do, the signage is going to be able to help you. And that, combined with the concierge, we think will be a better experience. So subcommittee, that's a long way of saying we're doing a lot. But I don't want you to think that we know all the solutions, because we have to rely on your feedback to make sure we get this right. So please do not hesitate in any way, whether it's talking to me, the subcommittee, Marcus, Gil, give us your feedback. It's hugely important. So with that, subcommittee, I would turn it back to you. Now, we do have also a video, a 5-minute video from tourism that highlights the things they've been doing on the tourism and business side. But I will let you decide if you're ready to see that or when you want to introduce.
Sure, and thank you, David. I appreciate all the work that went into this from David and staff. And just looking at that, Kristen and I were like, a lot happened in a year. And that's great, and it's because a lot of the feedback we've gotten from people here at our every other month meeting, so really encourage people to come to those. David, when we put this online, the PowerPoint, let's add just a sentence or two for each of the organizations, a link to their website and their phone number, so people have that resource. I know we have it in different places, but it'd be great to put it on the PowerPoint for that purpose.
We'll definitely do that, and the presentation is already online.
Yeah, terrific, thank you. So the next thing we do before we open it up is we invest a lot in marketing Palm Springs, right? And tourism is the driver of our economy and helps our small businesses and our big businesses and helps fund road repairs and public safety. That's all because of the money that is spent. A lot of it is from people who come to visit here. And so we put $2 million a year into our own bureau, Palm Springs Bureau of Tourism, who does a great job. We added $200,000 this year to help promote the Uniquely Palm Springs campaign, to promote our local small businesses, and also to promote people who live within 60 miles to come here. So much of our tourism is about getting people heads in beds, as they're called, to get people to come stay in hotels and spend money. But we want to do more to get people who are down valley or in San Bernardino or Riverside, come to Palm Springs for the day, right? Have lunch, have dinner, shop, go to an event. And so we're actually right now starting research to see what would get them here, what they think about Palm Springs, so we can start doing that marketing. So they do a good job. There are folks from a whole bunch of small businesses who are part of committees that work with them. There's the small hotel committee as well that works with them. In addition, there's the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is, I think it's about $18 million organization now. Most of the funding comes from the convention center size hotels. So the big hotels who added TOT onto as an assessment, who funds most of that money. We put $500,000 to $600,000 into that a year. All the cities that have big hotels put some money in, but most of the money is coming from the hotels themselves. And so our Bureau of Tourism put together a video for the Hospitality Association lunch that really highlights how we're helping businesses. We want to show it to you for two reasons. One, to show you the great work they're doing, But as you see it, if you think of things that you think they should be doing, we want to get that feedback. That's sort of how Uniquely Palm Springs came up, that we're not helping to promote our local unique businesses. So that's the kind of feedback we want as well. So let's roll that if we can.
Stop until we get enough.
That was great. Thank you. So we have accomplished a lot in a year, and we really want to hear your feedback and your ideas. Before I do that, we have one other announcement, which just came out yesterday, is that we also have a $10 million request for homelessness for the city of Palm Springs in the budget that will be voted on and hopefully allocated to the city of Palm Springs, which is huge for our city.
Right.
So we know that homelessness is a social service issue, a human rights issue, and it's also a business issue for our businesses and for our residents. And so we've heard that a lot. And so we have worked really closely with the state this year, with Assemblymember Chad Mays, with the governor, with the Speaker of the Assembly, to secure some funding to actually get to permanent solutions for homelessness, so that we can really start to kind of solve the homelessness crisis instead of just do Band-Aids, since typically we don't get enough state funding as a city to really get to real solutions or real impact. So that's really exciting for our business community as well.
Yes, and we're really thrilled. That will be voted on this week. The last day of the session is Friday, so all signs are good. We have support from the leadership and the governor's office to do this. It'll be the first time we're getting direct funding for homelessness. It usually goes through the county, and they decide how to spend money, and we've gotten a little bit here and there, but this is really a game changer for the city and what we are able to do. So we're really excited by this. We don't know what all the rules and requirements will be. I've gotten asked all these questions. How are you going to spend it? But it's one-time funding, so it's really primarily designed to figure out a navigation center, transitional housing, really ways to transition people permanently off the streets. In the last 3 years, we've started a lot of new programs, and they've been successful without a lot of money. And we've transitioned 200 people off the streets. But we need to do this to scale, and there's nothing in the West Valley right now other than little, there are some service agencies. Well, in the desert has a daytime shelter. We were able to get an emergency nighttime one this summer, which was critical. We haven't had that since the county closed Roy's, but this is a whole different ballgame if we're able to do it, and we're really excited. And Christy and I are the homelessness subcommittee. This will be discussed at our next task force meeting in October. For those who are interested, just let us know, and we'll make sure to get you on that invite list.
Great. Thank you. So with that, I think that we'll turn it over to public comments. And again, we do this informally so that we can really hear from you. So we're not going to time you. We just not limit you to 2 minutes. We just ask that you use a reasonable amount of time and not filibuster us here all night, but really be respectful of the time of everyone. So if you want to grab a yellow card here in the front, if you haven't already, Anthony's, our city clerk, is holding them up there. And then we will just have you come to the podium. We are recording this, just so you know, so there's a video camera here, and speak into the mic, and then we'll hear your public comments. And again, that can be questions for city staff or for us to answer. We have a whole range of city staff and department heads to get you answers. It can be comments about the presentation and the slideshow you saw. It can be ideas for business incentives. What would you like us to do in the next year? What do you think we're doing right for local businesses or for economic development? What do you think we can improve? We really want all your ideas and comments and questions and feedback. Thank you. So I'll turn it over for public comment.
Thank you, Councilmember Lustig and Mayor Pro Tem Kors. We're going to start with Brian Arnold Windermere, followed by David Friedman.
Hello, Brian Arnold, resident of Palm Springs, broker and vice president of Windermere Real Estate Downtown. I'm here to talk about the downtown sign ordinance, which I know everyone here is aware of, that we've been cited 3 times, fined twice for our flyers and our windows. They are currently down out of the windows, which makes our place of business look empty and like a vacant place. I would like to talk about between code enforcement and planning, where code enforcement is the ones that have come in and given us the citations or the fine notices. They tell me to go talk to planning, so I go down to planning. Planning tells me I got to go talk to code enforcement. So it's happened 3 times, and I just feel like nothing's getting resolved or talked about where we stand on it. Being a business owner down there, that I'm not one to complain about the other businesses that are in violation of the ordinance, but my feeling is that we're being singled out as real estate based on what I have been told, a complaint from the public or somebody from the public. And my feeling is either you do or you don't. Either everybody who's in violation of the sign ordinance be cited and or fined, and not for us to be singled out. So I just want to find out where things stand on
Sure.
looking at the sign.
Sure, so I can
Thank
add a
you.
couple things, and feel free, and staff can feel free as well. And we've talked about this internally. We can't treat one type of sign or speech differently than others. So I agree with you. Everyone needs to be treated the same. We are going to start with staff, making sure we are checking all the businesses to make sure everyone's treated the same. So that's first of all, because I agree. We typically are complaint-based, but you don't want a competitor to complain about a business and have that cycle go. So everyone needs to be treated the same. The other issue is there's a certain amount of signage you can have in your windows that applies equally to any business, and whether it's real estate or a sandwich shop. And so we've talked about what's allowed versus one sign versus if you can have 6 feet, can you have 6 feet of real estate signs? So those are the kind of things we are talking about internally on how to do it. I know some realtors I've seen have, big screen TVs a little, further back that you can see with homes running through them. We've been trying to look at what other realtors are doing to make this work, and getting that information so we can share it out to the real estate community through the realtors group. So that's sort of what's going on now. I don't know if there's anything else to add.
Yeah, I'll turn it over to staff to give you some answers about that, what I heard from you. And we care about every business in Palm Springs and making sure you can do your business and operate and advertise the way that you want. So what I heard from you is sort of being shuffled back and forth.
Right.
And forth between code enforcement and planning, making sure we're not using a complaint-based system and that it's really like consistent enforcement throughout, and that, getting you sort of making sure that we have similar rules across the board for all businesses. So if staff wants to just give a short answer about what our sign ordinance is and sort of some answers to that.
You're not on.
The sign ordinance has been a difficult thing in the sense that why do we have to have a sign ordinance at all? Obviously, the downside of that. So over the years, it's evolved. Different councils have put different restrictions in, and different councils has removed restrictions to try to evolve with where we are. So where are we now? The key thing is consistent enforcement. Now, the police chief right here, we've added some additional code enforcement people. We're going to continue doing what we used to do. Is every week we're doing a code enforcement sign a review and to make sure that we're consistently enforcing. Now again, we don't want to. It's not about gotcha, it's about changing behavior, right? So we're going to ask you again, please, to change it. If you don't, then you will end up with the citations. Unfortunately, we need to do that to be consistent. Now, that being said, what I would suggest that if you're seeing some issues that need improving in that process, please call me directly if you like. And I give everyone my cell number, and I'm open to it because this is an important issue, and we want to make sure we get it right. But the key thing is on a weekly basis, we're going to really start to make sure everyone's in compliance.
Yeah, real quick, this has been going on since February 7th on our first citation, and I've pointed out other businesses. I don't want to be the one to file the complaints in a formal manner, but a lot of those businesses have been in violation for also several months. But it just seems to be the real estate community that has been hit the hardest, which has affected our business, as well as we've lost agents at the company because they're not seeing the walk-ins or the traffic. I do feel that it does provide a public service to our tourists who are here, and a lot of them buying real estate. And a lot of the resort communities do have that as part of their downtown area. So again, I just urge you all to look into the ordinance and to make some changes. Thank you.
But I would note, we do appreciate you telling us areas where you see it, so don't hesitate to do that. And also, I would note that on our app, city app, My Palm Springs, you can take a picture and send it in, and that's helpful as well.
And we can just to respond quickly, and we won't go back and forth, but thank you for the feedback. We hear you. I know we've been working closely with you on this. Our city staff has. We have discussed it a number of times, looking for ways. We can assure you that the real estate community isn't being targeted in any way by us or any city staff. We know that that's a huge industry for our economy, and your work is really important. So we'll continue to work with you and think about our sign ordinance for downtown and how it can be fair for all businesses and how it can allow businesses to promote their services. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are taking, city staff is taking notes here.
Yeah.
We're not scribbling it up here, but we are taking notes, so we'll go back and work on the issues that you raised with us.
David Friedman, followed by Daryl Turrell.
Good evening. Just here to make a few announcements on behalf of the Sustainability Commission and the Office of Sustainability of some initiatives that we have for the business community. First, as I mentioned last week, we're working closely with DWA to spread the word about their new rebate program that just went into effect this past Wednesday. There are a number of rebates that are available for commercial properties, including a $2 per square foot grass removal rebate, smart controller rebate of up to $2,500 for the device and $750 for professional installation, efficient sprinkler nozzle rebates of $5 per nozzle and $2 per installation. That would be up to $7,000 for commercial properties, and high efficiency toilet rebates of up to $100 per toilet with a 10 toilet minimum and up to 100 toilets. So information about these rebates is available on the DWA website, programs.dwa.org, and the rebate program is on a first-come, first-served basis, so we want to encourage people to apply for that as a DWA program, but we're working here in the city to publicize that. Second, we've just confirmed in the last few days that we are holding together with the Desert Valley Builders Association and CVAG an energy code training session. So the 2019 energy code, along the rest of the building codes, will go into effect on January 1, 2020 on Wednesday, November 6th from 8 to 11:30 a.m. at UCR Palm Desert on Frank Sinatra. We've arranged for an energy code training session that's being done from some folks who work with SCE and SoCalGas. So that's free. We want to encourage everyone to come. There will be an announcement that will be circulated through DVB Day, CVAG, and on the city's website in the next few days, and people can just click on that. And finally, I wanted to announce this coming Monday, on the 16th at 9 a.m. and then at 5 p.m., the Office of Sustainability will be hosting business stakeholder sessions to discuss the single-use plastic foodware ordinance, and there will be an intro by the city to explain some of the proposals that we're working on, why we're doing it, and some businesses that are already involved in that will be participating, and we certainly invite everyone to come and share their ideas. So that's what we're doing, but want to make sure that people know that the Office of Sustainability and the Sustainability Commission are very much also focused on growing our green economy.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Daryl Turrell, followed by Lee Wilson Jr.
Hi, my name
Hey,
is Daryl Terrell from
Carol,
Mobile.
pick up the mic so you get recorded and people can hear you.
My name is Daryl Terrell from Mobile. Tonight I'm here to present some ideas for you to consider. The first one is the creation of a business spotlight program. Each month, one business will be selected by a committee to be honored with the business spotlight. The recognition would include a brief presentation at the city council meeting, a recognition on the city's website, and would be awarded a 30-second professional video production created by the Community Economic Development Department, which would be showcased on the city's website, social media platforms, and given to the business the rights to use as a promotional of their business. The second idea is to increase the local business preference in city purchasing contracts from 5% to 10%. Third idea is to implement a 90-day business license tax amnesty program and waiving the penalties and interest that are currently applied to delinquent amounts owed by non-compliant businesses. The fourth idea is to refund fees for missed deadlines, and here's how it goes. The city should consider this by publishing deadlines for completing reviews and refund fees if those deadlines are not met. The deadline the city should commit not to be related only to the portion of the process of the city that the city controls, and not delayed that may be caused by the response to corrections and other responsibilities of the customer. The fifth idea is simplifying and modernizing the business license tax. That the city should consider modernize the business tax that has been in existence since the 1970s, either by replacing the current system with a low-cost annual registration fee or by simplifying business tax into flat fees based on a business with fewer than 5 employees, and another one with employees with more than 5 employees. There will be an annual renewal fee that will be applied to all businesses. The sixth idea is to create a small business division inside Community Economic Development Department that will be tasked with the coordination of startup and permitting process and outreach and communications. The seventh one is a commercial exterior improvement program. Because you got one for facade, but we need one for the small businesses in the downtown area to have a matching program that could provide incentives for those businesses to improve the exterior of their, interior of the commercial building. And the last one I have time for is the creation of a healthy food fund with that $700,000. And that would go to help attract grocery stores. It's like to give grocery stores money up front to help with those costs. To locate, if they want to locate in the food desert, it's a startup cost. But I'd rather see some of that money right now be dedicated to that part so we can attract those grocery stores to that community. Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, thank you. Always has good ideas.
Lee Wilson Jr.
Good evening. My name is Lee Wilson Jr. Hello, Palm Springs. I teach world and U.S. history at Cathedral City High School, and I'm also the historian for the Palm Springs American Legion. And I'm just basically here to introduce a little bit to our community what the Legion is about and change some misperceptions about us. We are becoming more open, more involved with our city and community, and we want to keep on doing these sort of things. For example, just within the last year, we participated every Thursday night Village Fest. We've never been at Village Fest. We've been out there Thursday. We'll start picking that up again in October. First time ever, we're going to be involved with Pride Week. We're going to have a table out there during Pride Week and highlight and hopefully, start recruiting more veterans that are also with our gay community. And why not? This is Palm Springs. We're also going to be in the Palm Springs Gay Pride Parade this year, which will be the first time we've done something like that. I'm sure it's going to rub a lot of the older school people, maybe the wrong way, but we don't care. We're Palm Springs, and this is our neighborhood. And so we need to get out there. We're going to be in the parade this year. We started doing the Palm Springs One Neighborhood picnic organization last year for the first time, passing out little flags to the little kids. We have an event in the works for the Desert AIDS Project. We really do have a great dance floor and stage. It is historic. Bob Hope, Al Jolson, Bing Crosby have all played on our stage, and we're hoping to kind of bring that sort of entertainment back. In fact, we have the Al Jolson Society do an event, a huge event, sometime in the spring at the Legion. And they did shows from like 1948 to 1954, national broadcast radio shows that went all over the country. And this is part of our history a lot of people have forgotten about, so as a historian trying to get that out. We also, during the summer anyways, I'm able to participate in the Main Street meetings at the Hyatt every Tuesday, first Tuesday of the month. We participated in the pop-up Palm Springs event this year. So we really are doing a lot of new things, trying to get out there that we've never done before. You know, we've always been kind of isolationist, grumpy, angry old men sort of reputation. But some of our younger people, we're trying to change that. For the first time ever, we're going to hold a Modernism Week event on Saturday, October 19th. Tickets are $30. They're going to have like an Elvis entertainer there. And I'll be lecturing about our historic architecture. Albert Frey, John Clark designed architecture from 1948. And our radio room guy, Tom McLean, is going to talk about all our Hollywood history again, all the radio shows that we broadcast. And you can just crash the Legion anytime and, you know, check it out and see what we got. We got a really cool radio room. It's been restored. We got a new paint job. First time in 9 years. Got a new paint job going, and we're using the facade improvement program that the city uses. So we're going to get reimbursed about $3,000 of our $6,000 that paid for our labor. Again, more public events. We're trying to be more open. One thing we need to do every Saturday night starting in November is we're going to try and do like they do hockey night in Canada, which is huge. It's like their Monday Night Football. Since we're getting a hockey team, why not get on the bandwagon and maybe start something like Hockey Night in Palm Springs? Open up the Legion to the public. Now, we got to go around ABC, Alcohol Beverage Commission rules. That's why we're a private club. We technically just can't sell to anybody. But with the right sponsor, we could be open for the public every Saturday, and this would be a great way to, you know, just raise money, get veterans, Canadians, someplace to hang out. And yeah, we have cheap drinks, and so we just keep that going on Saturdays also. My name again is Lee Wilson Jr. I'm usually there on Fridays. I'm a teacher, so I usually need to relax after a week of combat with teenagers. Please come by and say hello. We are really changing our reputation, getting out there, and please come by and say hello. We're available for rental too. Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
David Algazi, followed by Steve Payline.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Algazi. I own DA Computers, been a Palm Springs resident my entire life, been here for a very long time. Today I came to talk to you guys about infrastructure. You know, I run a computer company and we do everything computer related, Wi-Fi, networks, cameras, everything you can possibly think of. And a lot of businesses in town have a problem getting internet to their business. There's a big infrastructure problem, and it's not just in little niche areas. I mean, 2 buildings over right now on Talkowitz are having a problem getting permits to pull Verizon Fios or Time Warner Internet over to the building. Brand new businesses are going in there, and that's a big issue. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into, you know, partnering with a big company like Google and becoming a Google Optic Fiber City. Be very beneficial not only to businesses, but to residents as well. Basically what they do is you give them a piece of land that they build their central hubs on, and they would offer internet to residents for a very discounted rate, like $5 or $10 a month. And then businesses would also provide internet to businesses at a reduced rate, and high-speed internet, higher than anything we have in the desert at the current moment. These are things that basically I see affect businesses constantly throughout the desert, time and time again, between like remodels, permits, older buildings. We just have really lacking infrastructure when it comes to technology. You know, that gets overlooked a lot, especially when people are building buildings. They don't think on like how they're going to get the phone lines in there, how they're going to get the internet, how they're going to run their POS systems, cameras, smart lights, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really big issue that's kind of coming up more and more often. I've been doing business in the desert since 1999, and it's done nothing but increase, not decrease, over the time. That's just my 2 cents, and I wanted to give it.
Thank you. That's really good feedback. And we talked, I know Joe Wallace from CVEP has talked a lot about infrastructure for businesses for the future. And so I know that that's an issue for any existing businesses. Actually, when I had my campaign office downtown, I couldn't get internet into that building. So I assume maybe that's why it stayed empty. So I think that's an important issue. But also thinking about the businesses of the future and how to support growth of our local businesses. That's a really important comment for us that we will definitely take back and think about and think through.
And actually, it would be a good subject to put on the agenda of one of our upcoming smaller meetings where we can get some experts in. If we can get your contact.
Yes.
So we can reach out to you as well, so we can actually have a discussion on what we can do on this. It's a great thing for us to focus on.
Okay.
When is our next business retention subcommittee meeting? In October?
Yeah, we have to look. Currently
November,
but we may need to move that one we talked about.
So
we will get that out.
the date
Yeah,
and we'll put
soon.
that on the agenda, and we'd love for you to come
Yeah.
and bring people in the industry and tell us what we should do about it, and what kind of incentives or other programs we can do to solve that problem for folks.
Yeah,
Sounds
and
like
thank
a
you for
plan.
bringing that.
No
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Really important.
Next comment.
Steve Payline, followed by Jeffrey Bernstein.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. I wanted to first applaud you for the recommendations to change some of the things, the way the process works at the building department. I'm an architect, designer locally, and a member of the Architectural Advisory Council, so I'm very active in this. I work with a lot of contractors who have a lot of issues with the length of and difficulty for getting things literally from plan check through permit. And some projects have taken 2 to 3 months to get through the process. And a couple of reasons I think are, A, we're understaffed, so I applaud the fact that you're looking to increase the staff level there. The use of SGIL as opposed to over-the-counter plan check. The biggest problem with SGIL is the transit of getting material there. So if I submit a set of drawings on a Monday, it may not get there till Wednesday because it has to be checked in locally and then couriered. And if you miss the courier that day, it waits to the next day. So you lose 3 or 4 days getting there, and when it comes back, it then has to be checked in and confirmed and all that stuff. So you lose another 3 days. So the process of dealing with that is really difficult. So I would recommend maybe we go to 2 couriers per day. I'm sure it wouldn't be that much more cost. And then, I think the other issue we've got with SGIL is sometimes you get inconsistent plan checkers. So one checker will hit certain things and another will come back with a massive correction list, and you just don't know what you're going to get until you submit. So it's really kind of a struggle there. I've also had a problem with, like John Shoemaker was on vacation for a week, and I had a set of plans that sat on his desk for a week till he got back because no one else could do what he needed to do on them. So I think we need to have backup for people in the office that can handle things. I love the idea of having more over-the-counter capability for smaller projects because that's really just not available now at all. Inspection scheduling, if the Friday thing is kind of an issue because if you miss an inspection on Thursday, you have to wait to get it on Monday, so you lose literally 2 days of your construction schedule. So if there was a way to have inspections on Friday, I'm not sure if that's possible, but certainly I'd love to have it considered. And then the other final issue is really the cost of submittal. So the cost of doing a set of plans with the City of Palm Springs is extremely expensive. So 4 sets are required to submit. And if you've got a drawing set that has maybe 20, 30 sheets in it, that's about a $250 expense. Then when SGIL rejects it and you have to submit corrections, it's another 3 sets. And if you get a third correction, it's another 3 sets. So you could be upwards of $700 or $800 just in reproduction cost, where like the City of La Quinta, you can submit PDFs and they handle it electronically. So those are some of my comments. I applaud the effort to streamline the process and would love to offer any help.
Great, thank you. All really good.
Thank you. And I don't know if we have a lot of brain power and we have staff here, so if you won't have any
We're going to look
comments.
at that Friday thing. And Marcus, go ahead.
I do have some news for you. So SGIL is wrapping up the end of their contract. So I'm going to be working with Gil to do a new RFP to solicit competitive proposals for building plan check services. And we've already talked about forcing whoever we select to, in the interim before we have the enterprise resource system, which would allow online submittal, making that firm provide the software that can provide the electronic plan submittal, because again, there's no need to be producing prints and mailing them off, and hopefully we can have a firm that's here local. But that will be coming in the next year, and I hope that will help improve that process.
That's great news, yeah. I think the other one I want to mention with inspection was when you schedule an inspection, you have no idea when they're going to show. And so I've missed, I went for a coffee and came back and there's a tag on the door, you missed the inspection. So now I have to wait another day, right? So if, I know they have the schedule, they generate the schedule in the morning. If that could be published daily so that we could actually see it and understand if he's coming between 10 and noon or 3 p.m., it would be great to have an idea of when they're going to show up.
Well, I think clearly we can have a better process, at least a window. So Gil, can you explain what how we do it currently?
Hi there, Gil Estrada. Pretty loud here. We've been talking about this, and Aaron, you can defend me on it. We've actually are looking how we can get that inspection schedule online so that the contractors, homeowners, et cetera, can actually go online and see where they're at on the list and whether they're going to be there in the morning or not. As I'm sure you know, you can call in the morning before 8 o'clock to talk with the inspector to try and nail down a window of maybe 2 hours. But that is something definitely that we're working on.
I've never been successful getting through to anyone at the building department on the phone. They're all way too busy to take a call. So
I can give you my number and you can get a hold of me and we'll figure something out for you.
Great.
But all the items that you have touched on, we are thinking about, we are looking at, and we are definitely going to make some changes and improvements.
that's great to hear. Thank you so much.
So the other thing that we can do and we should do is our inspectors at least can give you a call, say a half hour before, to give you some warning and give you some ideas. So we're going to try and get you, if not a window, a tighter window, at least a call, so a half hour before, so you can go do what you need to do and then meet them back there. So
Great.
we will focus on that starting tomorrow. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments, and you were facing us, so you didn't get to see, but I saw a lot of heads
Yes.
nodding along with you. I was nodding along with you, so thank you for the really valuable feedback, and we'll work on that.
My turn?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Bernstein. First of all, thank you for this meeting, for the subcommittee. I think it's the most productive city committee I've seen ever. Thank you to both of you. So I have two questions. The first one has to do with all the development that's going on, especially downtown. It's great for businesses, but there's also concern that some of it won't get started, some of it won't get finished, and then we have these vacant storefronts that won't get filled. So the first question is, how does the city make sure that these actually get filled with business tenants? My second question is completely different. The airport, for the first time in 20 years, may have new retail and food and beverage tenants. Can you give an update on what's happening with that, and whether, if there's an opportunities for local businesses, and how the city might help them understand the process? Thank you.
Yes. So, do you want to? I was going to say let's turn this over to David, but I do want to add I think, importance for both local businesses, but for our airport to have local businesses in the airport. I mean, when you go to airports and there are a lot of local businesses, you're more likely to spend money, be happier when you're there. So that is a priority, and that is coming up, as you know. So we want to do that. But David, do you want to respond to both of those?
I would just note that we talked about this today. Probably the second meeting in October, we're going to have a discussion at the city council level. The consultant looked at all the concessions. They looked at what it needs to be to deal with our growth going forward, long term. So we're going to have some suggestions for the council. Like, for example, one of the things is that the center part within the rotunda is sort of expanding that in the sense that that could be an area where people can enjoy maybe restaurants and drinks and things of that nature. So that it's going to change it a little bit. There's also discussion of adding additional consensus or concessions. One of the things the subcommittee has suggested and that we included in the consultant's report was, how do you have a mix of both local tenants and national. So there's going to be a carve out for local. So that's the good news. So the process is the October timeframe to City Council for discussion. They'll give us direction. Then we will move forward with actually doing the specs for an RFP.
So just my question on that, is there a way the city could help? A lot of local or small businesses have never done an RFP or responded to it, and the process of going through it is very different than, big corporations that know how to do it.
Well, this is what I would suggest, actually. You're right, because especially dealing with the FAA rules, this can be a kind of a technical thing. What I will do when we're ready to actually go out for the RFP, I would recommend, because I know the council is going to want us to have a portion there that certainly local businesses can bid. I think we ought to join you in a partnership, and through whether it's through Main Street or whatever organization we want, where we actually help you with the RFP to submit it.
That was my, yeah.
I think that would be
They
a great
did that, I think, in
idea.
other cities, but
It was a great idea.
Great idea, thank
Thanks.
you.
So in response to the first question
Yeah.
about the vacant
Yes.
storefronts now,
So-
that was a vacancy tax or some other question?
Thank you. So our subcommittee has talked a lot about vacant storefronts, not only in the new downtown development, but also throughout the city and in different business districts. So if city staff could talk a little bit about the work that we've done on that, what our options were in response to the question.
So in summary fashion, this is where I want to go with the vacant building ordinance. Council had approved some modifications, but I think council wants a little bit more resources. So this is what I'm suggesting. The current ordinance, we had left some things out. So for example, if you own a business downtown, a storefront, you have every right to own it, but it should not be a blighting influence. So if the goal is going to be if it's leasable or sellable, in essence, up to code, and you actually can move into it, that's fine. It just has to be secure. Now, likely you're going to want to get it to a viable business. That's good. But if you don't, if you have a blighted building that's not leasable, not rentable, not saleable because it's blighted, then what we're looking at is that ultimately, potentially a 2,000-month penalty, a 5,000-month penalty, and it keeps going and going because it'll be a huge disincentive to leave a vacant, blighted building in our downtown core. So those are the first steps. So then after that goes on and you have a big bill for penalties, then ultimately the court case that might take a year, might take 2 years, but ultimately to get it into the hands of a receiver through the city of a developer who actually can actually do something with it. Now again, that's very, very extreme, but given our policy interest in our downtown core, that is tools that we can use, and hopefully we'll be having that discussion with council as the fall goes forward.
David?
Yes.
Just on that, and I appreciate the importance of downtown core, I think we should look at all the commercial districts throughout the city because it hurts other businesses. So if you go to any of our neighborhood commercial, which is so important for residents and of course for the business owners, if you start having vacant, blighted storefronts there, it hurts the neighboring businesses. So I'd like to look at this sort of citywide.
Yes,
and
we
not
can
just
do that.
limit it to the downtown core.
And the receivership thing is a good tool. It takes a lot of effort, but it's worth it. You can do that for housing too. So you have a blighted house, you go in and you're taking it away from the property owner and putting it into someone who actually can change it. So it can be, certainly a council policy can be citywide.
So that's for vacant buildings, and it sounds like in part vacant storefronts. We've also talked about some potential policies that we could consider for vacant storefronts if the whole building isn't vacant. I don't know if you or Jay want to talk about that. We've talked about some cities have required or incentivized specific window signage that looks to a certain
Art,
quality when it's a vacant storefront. We've talked about incentives for like pop-ups or, other types of penalties. So thinking about the tools that the city has really to help, with the vacant storefronts, which I know is an issue downtown
So Chrissy,
and throughout.
we actually had a program where it would be art in.
We used to do that.
So I'll tell you, if you'd like, we could put it back on your next subcommittee agenda for
That'd be great.
discussion of
Yeah,
possibly
and
bringing that
other
program
ideas that
back.
people have, we should bring to that meeting. That's a great idea. You have something on this?
Could you use the mic, if you can, up here at the podium? Right over here, sir. That's okay, thank you.
I just wanted you to expound on what's a blighted,
Yeah,
constitutes a
that's,
blighted area.
that's a good question, because it's a very serious issue, and we do not take it lightly, because property rights are a huge, important part of our society, and we're going to take away no one's property rights. This is going to have to be extreme. I would use the example of the Supreme Court in pornography, right? I can't define it, but I know it when I see it, sort of.
Sort of.
So, but in this, there's real measurements, because you raise a good point. It has to be, there are actually real measurements that the court's going to be looking for in terms of, does the value to repair it exceed by certain ratio the value to tear it down? And there's some set criteria. It's a high bar, but we would follow the rules on that, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Great.
Thank you. So we'll add it to an upcoming agenda.
Next, we have David Mariner, followed by Julie Montante.
Thank you, first off. And I'm here coming from the Village Pub, and we have been open for about 23 years. And I took over as general manager in 2012, took a couple years off, and now I'm partners with Tarif. And one of the things that I've noticed and that I fell in love with the pub was being able to go and listen, even before I worked there in the beginning, was to hear live music on the patio. And I know that this is a conditional land use permit situation, but as I see more and more businesses opening up, they're also being told that they can't have live music. And when the police came and they told us about, reminded us about this and that it could maybe shut us down, that was really surprising, and we were just like, okay, and we were going to come deal with the land department. But now we're hearing other businesses like Antigua and other places are no longer allowed to as well. But we are seeing businesses that have walls that are built up, but they don't have a ceiling on it, they have windows wide open, and they're allowed to do it. And that's fine, because I don't look at it as competitors, but as partners. And what we really want to do, I think it's actually okay. We want to create a city that is open to everyone, not just one section of the city. We want to be diversified, and we want to be partners with everyone. And we think that it would be a lot more fun if we can have, maybe it's a noise ordinance issue, and instead of enforcing a daytime issue when we've been doing it for 23 years and no one said anything until a couple weeks ago. And we understand, the night thing is different. We totally get the night because people are trying to sleep. But during the day, we don't understand why, especially when there's live music all the street during the street fair. There is bands and things that are way louder than us, and they get to do it. And on Thursday, they're saying we can't do it. It's really bizarre. And so we just want to reach out. Maybe there's some way that we can change it and say, okay, maybe from this time to this time, like from 3 to 9, we're allowed to have some live music with conditions. The second thing we wanted to address is that there is one thing that I do think that bars should have on conditional land use permits. We have accepted one of our partners, Moxie's. They're right across, attached to us. They're really good neighbors. They created something called Patron Scan. We have done that. And the cool thing about this, and we encourage all bars, and maybe you put this into, it will say, oh, this person was kicked out for fighting, this person is not a good, you can put it out. And we have, in the last 3 weeks, denied entry to 30 people. And we believe that can clean up the city as well. So those two issues is something that I wanted to address with you today. Thank you for your time.
Actually, if I could, it'd be helpful. First of all, I would like to note that Village Pop Tarif, there were some issues and challenges you had in the past, and Tarif came, he says, I want to sit down with you and the chief and talk about our security plan and do these things. So you made some great moves, and we really thank you. It's really a success story, so you've done a good job. Now, with regard to the music, what? So let me offer this. And I remember Las Consuelas, we had all of the noise issues. They were like the only ones downtown doing music for a long time. They'd put up those, sort of that wall. So I need to get with code enforcement and planning. There's a path for you to have that outdoor music. So let me we'll work with you. There's a path. We've got to mitigate some of the noise, but we've done it in other areas, and so there's some work we can do with you on that.
And to be clear, David, we take that decibel reading, and they're louder with the wall than we are during the day, without a wall. Okay. And I don't think this is a time frame in 2019 to build a wall. We should not do that.
So,
get outdoor
so
music
let
just
us
for
reach
that.
out to you, and we will deal with it. We'll figure that out.
And David, I think there are two issues. One, because Tarifa and I have talked, and amending land use permits, but also looking at this broader, I think, is the more important point. And it's a separate subcommittee, so it's on. Christie's on with Lisa Middleton is really looking at the noise ordinance, and I'm sure this is an issue they can weigh in on as they start having their meetings on that as well.
Thank you for raising it. I can just say, without deliberating, that we will consider that in the noise ordinance. Just for staff, is it typically, and this is a really hard pop quiz for staff when people are coming and asking really specific questions about their own businesses, so it's appropriate to say, we'll hat up offline. But is it a noise ordinance issue, or is it a conditional use permit or
Flynn?
land use permit issue? Just so I can understand as I'm thinking about our noise
So
ordinance.
this is our planning director, Flynn Fagg.
So it's a combination of both noise ordinance issue and a land use permit issue. Just generally speaking, for land use permits for outdoor entertainment in the central business district, I believe most of the land use permits that we've issued in the past 10 years have not permitted outdoor entertainment, that doors and windows need to be closed. There's a couple of older ones that we have on file that haven't been updated yet that do allow outdoor entertainment. So that's the discrepancy, is some of the older permits do have the permission to do that. Now, as has been suggested, we can certainly look at that in terms of allowing it during the daytime. And again, we'll work through the city manager and with the downtown business community in doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Julie Montanti, PS Organica, and soon to be 420 Bank and Lounge next to Tarif. So I have nothing but compliments. I think that this city has moved forward. I think that you've done an amazing job. The staff, everyone that worked for the city is incredible. Everybody may have a little problem, but I think you are the first to solve their problems. So I just wanted to compliment you.
Thank you.
And Jeff, anyone that's running with your intelligence, they need to vote for you. I'm just telling you, that's the way I feel about that. But it's important to have intelligent people on our board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Adrian Alcantar, followed by Dennis Woods.
Speaking of elections.
Good evening. My name is Adrian Alcantar. I'm a small business owner. I was once a small business owner on Main Street. I'm here to talk to you tonight about rising rents in our downtown corridor. What can be done to encourage commercial building owners to keep rents reasonable? I've had many of small business owners tell me simply just that the rates are skyrocketing, and they're in fear of losing the place that keeps Palm Springs unique. Commercial owners are not notorious for wanting to offer TIs, tenant improvements. We know this. And all that expense falls typically to the business owner itself. I was priced personally out of downtown this last year after wanting to expand. The units that I could afford were run down, and one didn't even have air conditioning. I see this as a major issue. I was told that I could add the AC system at my cost of $15,000. With no help from the owner. In the course of 1 year, I went through 27 negotiations to secure a spot downtown. I was fortunate to find a location in the Vistachino Sunrise Marketplace area with minimal improvement, as it was zoned for a business much like my own, and I could basically walk in, turn the power on, and flip a switch. I'm lucky I have clients that travel to me. When I look at small businesses, much like the ones that keep our downtown corridor unique, Many of them rely on tourist traffic, foot traffic, second home tenants, and visitors to our great city. I would hope that at some point we can secure protections for these business owners and continue to keep our city unique in that regard and make sure that large-scale interests are not or do not affect the way that our town works for small business. And I truly believe that small business does work for Palm Springs, but Palm Springs at this moment does not work for small business.
Thank you.
Dennis Woods, followed by Jeannie Wiseman.
Good evening. It's great to be here. Dennis Woods. I'm the chair of the Palm Springs Planning Commission, and I'm a candidate for District 2 for City Council here in Palm Springs. Wow, great recommendations. I can't tell you how fantastic those recommendations are. I think the city staff will be more than elated by the electronic filing that you can do. We as the Planning Commission would be elated by having that. A change to the zoning code is part of my platform. I would take it a little bit further, and I'll give you an example. We review a lot of variances to sign programs. I might suggest that we change our sign programs to include a creative sign program where a small business can get very creative and not have to go through the entire variance program. I absolutely love the fact that we're looking at one-stop shop for people. We're looking at cutting the plan check time that it takes. Another suggestion I might make is that we publish our fees more clearly when you have a large development that comes in. It's very difficult to ascertain what the fees are going to be. With that, I really applaud what you're doing, and thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ginny Weissman, and I have the Pet Ministry PS, which finds homes, as we like to call them, for angels and fur coats. I've been doing that for 10 years here, and we are trying to turn this into a no-kill Coachella Valley. Michigan just became a no-kill state, which is really a tremendous victory for us. And I am now developing New Harmony Habitat because I've identified two pressing needs in the last 10 years. New Harmony Habitat is a sanctuary for senior people and pets. And what I've determined here is that there are two at-risk populations. One is the senior people like myself who can't really afford housing here anymore, and all the senior pets that are causing us not to be no-kill because people don't adopt senior pets because of the medical expenses and the potential for that. So New Harmony Habitat is a sanctuary for senior people and pets, and I've gotten a great response from Jeff and other people who feel that this can help address the senior homeless population here, because I just found out today from Marlene Rosenthal that it's about 55% of the homeless here are seniors. So my first question is that, and first of all, I applaud you on this $10 million that came in for all your hard work and commitment. Is that $10 million earmarked specifically only for Palm Springs for the homeless homes, or is it going to help the whole Coachella Valley?
It's for the city of Palm Springs, but we expect and hope that something in Palm Springs will benefit the entire Coachella Valley. But initially, there was a request for the region for $10 million, and that was not included in the budget. And so then we sought, with our assembly member, $10 million just for the city of Palm Springs.
But you think it could be spread out to help the 600 they had or so in the Coachella Valley? That's kind of the round number. Okay, so then the second part of my question is that we developed this affordable housing and homeless housing, of which I have some interest in bringing some people to the table to bid on contracts for that, is I've heard there's plans now to try to streamline the permit process and the approval process. What's realistic in terms of if land and funding were available today, what's realistic in terms of being able to when housing can be built very quickly, what can streamline the delay in permits and approvals so we can get things open more quickly here?
I mean, I think a lot of the things in the presentation were really designed to streamline the program. We're also, I don't know if we voted on it yet, but council directed that we upfront waive all city planning building fees, at least the ones we control, for truly affordable housing as well.
Okay, so it's realistic to think that things that normally took 2 years could take 1 year?
There's a state law, SB 35, which mandates, I believe, 6 months or so, a very shortened timeline for development of affordable housing. So we're looking at that. The first, the Chalk Monarch Homes affordable housing project that council entered into a development agreement with that developer for 60 units of affordable housing. We did that quite quickly, and that was under SB 35, which is a by right kind of approval process that's streamlined compared to the normal process.
I think what often takes the delay is when folks are applying for federal tax credits, which is a competitive process, and if they don't get it the first time, they have to wait for the next process, and that project that's what they're waiting for, is to get federal tax credits. So that, if you're not looking for federal tax credits, that changes the dynamic.
So privately funded, I'm not looking at Section 8 housing or anything like that, this is to be privately funded, low-income housing, I don't have to go through any of those processes.
Not as far as federal tax credits, no.
For tax credit.
Just
Wonderful.
reach out to the city
Yeah.
city staff,
Well,
and
yeah.
they can advise you about what type of project and
Yeah,
what that
well,
would
Jeff
look
has
like.
been great, and I think we could really make this happen here. And I've lived in Chicago and LA and have been a small business owner for decades, and I've never had the opportunity to have this kind of forum and to have this kind of support, and I just love living here. My joke is if they want me to leave Palm Springs, they're going to have to scoop me up in a tow truck and take me out of here, because I'm not leaving willingly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your important work.
That's great.
Nate Otto, followed by Chris Lumpkin.
And can I ask before Nate goes, how many cards we have total? I want to be respectful of folks' time, especially we have all of these great economic development leaders in the back, and we promised them, I think, 7:30. So I just want to know where we are.
Including Nate, we have 5.
5 more, okay.
So people are,
And just kind of a 30-minute warning, I think, for folks. If you want to speak, please fill out a card here. Thank you, Nate.
Okay, I'll shorten it by 15 minutes.
perfect. It's only 20.
So thank you very much to the subcommittee, the city council, and also all the city staff members for putting this together. I was really happy to see that, there's something about building in there and planning, and it doesn't look to me like it's as difficult as it might seem. Having built hillside homes at the beach and in LA and in much stricter markets, I saw Richard Riordan literally change the whole building and safety in about a year. Maybe it took 2, but it felt like it was only 1. And although I agree with the architects, every comment, our outsourcing has not worked. In my trade, we were supposed to have standardized plans that just fell aside, and I don't know what happened to them. When we have a revision, it literally goes back and they give us the same timetable of 3 weeks to get a revision. And it's sort of sucked, just to put it bluntly. There's a few things that are pretty easy to do. Even in the city of LA, they just took out a red pen if they had a minor revision. And they marked it with a red pen, and they said the thing goes over here instead of here. They took out the other 2 sets of plans and marked them, and we were done. It wasn't a 3-week thing. The city inspections, they text you. So you just get a text in the morning, and it says 9 to 11, 12 to 1. It's pretty simple, and the inspectors were pretty close on it. They get held up, and that's understandable. And I guess the last comment, I'm fading here. It's been a long day for all of us, I'm sure. Darn it. It was it.
Maybe we'll ask for a response for some of those issues, or we
Okay.
can do it as well, and then maybe it'll come to you.
We'll
and
stall.
You can
Yeah.
add that.
Yeah, Nate and I have had several conversations in the past, and so what I can say is, we've brought on Gil, who is hiding in the back, but he's brought some really good ideas including the reorganization of the department, which we've implemented through a new plan check supervisor. And we're going to be adding, as David mentioned, another permit technician. So the idea is that we can handle the more easier over-the-counter revisions or minor corrections that don't have to go back to S-Skill, because you're right, we need to be better and more business-friendly with expediting those plan checks and not wasting 3 weeks of time.
So the business-friendly, that was the point. And there's some procedural things that could be done, but the culture is just terrible. It is just god-awful terrible, and it's gone downhill since Gary Ford passed. And it's the culture. We have an inspector that turns us down for one sticker on Bogart, right next to South Palm Canyon. He says he doesn't have time, and then he goes south on Bogart and drives right back by and can't swing in and see that we put on the 1 out of 20 stickers that we have to put on that says, caution DC pipe. And he can't swing in and just look at it and sign the thing. And it is cultural. The inspectors have had chances to make things easier. The plan checkers, the city, the staff at the counter has had chances to make things a little easier, and they seem to take the long road every single time. When we call back and we go, what about the revision? They go, well, we have 3 weeks to do this. And that's the answer, and that's the wrong answer. So even though there's some procedural things and there's some things that could be done, I would be looking at the culture and the mindset of what is going on there and why it is. And I want to say right here in front of God and everybody else, we are certainly not innocent. I've been working with my crew members the last month and a half, and I've seen some stuff that I just can't believe. And if I was an inspector, I'd be hard on them too, because they deserve it for some of the dumb stuff that it's minor stuff. It isn't, I'm not talking about major, but the inspector shouldn't have to come back for that. I mean, it should have been better. And I'll own it right now, but still, it's been a really bad culture there for years and years and years, and nobody seemed to care about cleaning it up. And like I said, Mayor Reardon did it in 1 year, and the city of LA was so much easier to work in, and they are so much stricter. The LA city research reports that you have to have on everything, it's hard. Every T, every I is dotted, and they did it, and I know that you guys could do it just by the fact that you're having this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, and we know a lot of you work in customer service, and I've worked in customer service, so we know that that's important. We also do customer service for our businesses, for our constituents, for our residents. We do care about being business friendly and open for business and customer service oriented, so we hear you, and we'll continue working on that. Next comment?
Chris Lumpkin, followed by Alan Alavi.
Is Chris here?
Nope. Alan?
What was the next one? Alan?
Alan Alavi.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Alavi, the owner of Archico Design Build. We built the fire station here for you, fire station number 4, which was vacant for years, and we had the grand opening on July 23rd. I received this flyer a couple of weeks ago in my office, and I was hesitant to come out here and was thinking about it, but finally I decided last night it's my responsibility to come here and share a few things with you guys. City of Palm Springs used to be one of my favorite cities. I came here often for pleasure, for vacations. I brought people here. I had few different businesses here that I was coming often to visit them. Few different business or retail stores that I came here often. since we had this project, we had so much difficulties here that I like to share with you, and I think there are things happening here that I believe you are not aware of, because I've met with you in different meetings and occasions, including the meeting we had with you, Mr. Brady and Mr. Fuller, regarding the project. And I found everything very positive, very helpful, very supportive in the city of Palm Springs. That's how we decided to get this project. I'm a resident of Newport Beach, and we are too far from here. We do public work, construction. There are there are very limited companies who do public work construction. There's not so many public work construction companies out there, and especially with this economy booming, and everybody are super busy. There are so much private work out there that not everybody are willing to put up with all the restrictions and paperwork and bureaucracy of the public work. With that said, I believe there are issues that you need to know about because city of Palm Springs is a growing city, and there are infrastructure that you're investing in, and that's what I saw in this flyer. So I believe you have consultants out there that they don't have the best interest of the city in mind, and they are trying, maybe they are trying to help, but they are not really helping. We have finished this project a few months ago, and we haven't been paid over $1 million for the past 4 months. So technically, my company and our subcontractors, which is over 25 subcontractors and vendors, funded your project. The project is over. Firefighters are using the project. Everybody were happy with the project and the result in the grand opening. And honestly, as the construction business is a very huge business, and there are so many contractors in this business, it's a very small industry. Everybody know each other, everybody talk, and everything spread very fast. Our subcontractors are not interested to bid to City of Palm Springs anymore. We hold back on several bids you have, including your park project on 715 that you didn't receive any bid for it, and it's going to rebid in a couple of days. We have been invited to this project, and our subcontractors were invited, but they are not interested to bid on it. And I just found it very different, because that was not the impression I had when I accepted this project. I was invited to see this project and to bid on it, and we were the low bidder on this project with a considerable amount from the next bidder. And unfortunately, this was not just with our company. This happened to other companies in the Palm Springs. And I just wanted to share this with you. It's not good for reputation of Palm Springs. I have a lot of respect for you, and I like to work with City of Palm Springs again, but these conditions are putting us in a very bad spot. We are working with county, with metro, with different municipalities, school districts, and we haven't run to this issue before. We have projects all over SoCal, and it's very difficult, and I understand it's not from the city, because the meeting I had with you was very positive and productive, and I appreciate it, but I believe it's either the consultants that are representing the city, they are looking for their interest instead of the city interest, or there are facts that you are misrepresented with. I'm sure Mr. Fuller knows about some of that, but that's my comment. I came all the way from Newport because I wanted to share it with you, that it's not really productive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But Marcus, do you
Yeah,
want
thank you, Alan, and congratulations on a great project because it turned out outstanding.
Thank you.
All I can really respond to you in this forum is to say that we're legally required to withhold payment to you for your failure to pay your subcontractors. So by law, I can't process your payment because the stop notices that have been filed exceed what we can pay you.
Well,
And
Mr.
so
Fuller, the reason...
I really can't go into it further here.
Well,
I'd rather have a
I
private
understand. I'd like to discuss
discussion,
it
but-
with you after the meeting if you have
Sure.
some time. It's, I understand your concern, but we had our side of the story, and that's what I was sharing. And I respect that. I can discuss it further if you have.
So what I suggest is, as we had meetings in the past to resolve some issues, I'm not up to speed on the exact thing, but what would commit would be happy to sit down with you again very soon and work through it and see where we are.
I'm very open to that, and I honestly am a very firm believer of communication. I prefer to resolve any issues directly with our clients and our subcontractors versus than spending money on attorneys and get everything on legals and spending the money of our firm, our subcontractors firm, and city fund on attorney fees and legal fees versus than paying the subcontractors and make everyone happy and motivate them to work for the city of Palm Springs again.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate you coming here.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you driving and all of your work. So
Thank you.
we'll
Thank
head
you.
off offline with
Sure.
that.
Thank
Thank you.
We still have.
Jocelyn Kane, followed by Joy Brown Meredith.
Last call to fill out a yellow public comment card if you'd like to speak.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm going to try to be really brief because everyone's a little done here. So I'm Jocelyn Kane, and typically I come up here and represent CVCAN, the cannabis industry here in the Valley, and I want to do that really quickly. Also touch on that issue of sound ordinance and noise ordinance, and again, I did talk to Dr. Reddy about that, and so hopefully we can get more vibrant downtown, and it isn't a blanket no for outdoor music downtown by the Planning Commission, because that doesn't really make sense to me, but okay. I want to just mention that we saw this presentation about how small businesses and cannabis businesses are small businesses by and large, and certainly here in Palm Springs, that they're facing problems between architectural review and planning and council, and the attempt is to try to remove some of that. And tomorrow morning, we're going to go to planning and talk about cannabis revisions to zoning ordinances that are going to add just what you're talking about taking away. So I guess I want to just put that out there, that there's a little bit of a mixed message. And not that we should be treated differently as cannabis businesses, but we should be treated the same. And so I know this is probably not the forum for that, but I just wanted to be clear that tomorrow morning, we're going to hear from planning who wants to add architectural review of facade and signage and city council review to businesses that never had that before on major thoroughfares, dispensaries and lounges. And again, there's obviously context to this,
Yeah,
but
so
given,
we can't-
given what we're hearing, I'm feeling as if we're being treated differently.
Well, so just on that, and we can't deliberate because I'm on that subcommittee and Christy isn't, is there are a whole bunch of ideas
Right.
that have been brought. Not everyone on the subcommittee necessarily is on the same page. And so we wanted to put things out there to get input. And we're going to have a big stakeholder meeting as well before there's anything coming to council. So
Okay, there's a very aggressive time frame for all of these changes in cannabis, so I just hope we have the time to do all the discussion and the back and
we'll
forth.
have plenty of time to, you know where to find me.
Okay, and again, cannabis business are small businesses, and blighted buildings and vacancies could be filled by more cannabis businesses if the city thinks that that's the appropriate, use in those areas. So think about that too.
Thank you. Joy
Joy
Brown Meredith.
Meredith, followed by Christian Jelmberg,
And is that the last card that we have?
Yes.
So that'll be the last card that we have. And then I might open it up quickly just to any of our distinguished guests and economic development leaders. If you want to say a few words about your agency or your work, since you came here and you listened to the public comments, if you'd like to speak before we close, please feel free to do so. Thank you, Joy.
Hi, my name is Joy Brown Meredith, and I'm the president of Main Street Palm Springs. And I think maybe unlike a lot of other people, I do get the opportunity to deal with city staff very regularly, not so much maybe in the planning department, but economic development, the clerk's office, the city manager's office, and also you right here too. And this meeting, I know you've heard me say it before, but when we have the Business Retention Subcommittee meetings, I know Jeffrey and I have said it too, that those are really just some of the most productive meetings that we really see, where we're able to speak openly and freely and get responses back and see some immediate almost action, which is unheard of in government. So I do want to thank you for that. But I do want to follow up a little bit on what Jocelyn was saying too, and one of the things that is giving me a little bit of angst is that there is going to be the Planning Commission meeting tomorrow in regards to cannabis, and I'm just hoping that businesses that have already invested a lot into new cannabis projects, maybe that, let's just say, are paying their leases, or let's just say have bought buildings, I'm hoping that the rules will not change retroactively to businesses that are already in the pipeline here. So that is something that makes me a little uneasy. Also, though, I did want to talk a little bit about the real estate signs, because to me, they're not signs. It's a product in the window. And I know when I go up to Idlewild, I love to stand in front of the window at the real estate offices and just see, oh my God, look at that house, that's $5 million, or can I afford to live here? And it just gives you the whole flavor of the community, and not so much as a sign, but it's more like a community announcement almost. And I really enjoyed being able to see the signs at my neighbor's real estate office, that I'm not going to call a sign again if I could remember. But I just really think that that's just something that really just tells you more about a community. And I think it could be very exciting for people to see that, even if they're not planning on buying anything like that. It's like a newspaper. You know, you're just getting that information. And so I hope that there will be a way to allow those in the windows, just because it's something that I personally just really enjoy, and I think a lot of other people do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Christian will be our last speaker, and then I'll invite if any of the agencies or speakers want to come and just present a minute or two about your work.
Hi guys. I'll make this short and sweet. Obviously, you guys know we've been working on our tiny home campus project throughout the valley to provide supportive housing for the homeless, along with case management, vocational training, on-site micro-business opportunities. And I just wanted to give you an update, just as far as the process goes. We are ready to roll in building out these campuses, so I'm really excited to hear about the $10 million in funding, because you really do have the capacity to end homelessness, honestly, beyond Palm Springs, but the rest of the valley. So I'm looking forward to a conversation, a roundtable conversation, where we can really talk about the logistics, internal management side of it, how we would implement it, and the impact on our community. So, you know, we've talked about a conversation, but would really like to solidify a date and get as many people at the table as possible, because I really feel like you guys are going to support it once you hear more of the details.
Great, thank you. And thanks for your work.
Thank you. Any other speakers from our business community who serve businesses?
Yeah.
And if you could just say your name and where you're from.
I'm Natalie Orta, and I'm with the U.S. Small Business Administration, the SBA. Just want all the existing business owners, people thinking about starting a business. We have a wonderful array of services for small businesses. Help in putting together a business loan proposal for free, one-on-one consulting. You go to our fabulous website at www.sba.gov, find local resources, it's right there on the website. We are here to serve you. We are your federal tax dollars at work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. Any other speakers? I see Joe Wallace coming
Okay,
down
yeah.
from CVEP.
Yeah, come on up so we
I
can.
see
If an-
Sheila from One Future. Thank you. Joe's going to tell us how to solve the internet infrastructure in the Coachella Valley.
Oh, I wish.
Just kidding.
Knowing how and doing is two different things. A whole lot of money and a whole lot of time. That's it. But what we do is we help small businesses anywhere from a startup through an existing business. I mean, some of our clientele have been in here tonight, and we enjoy what we do. And I'm going to tease just a little bit here. There's going to be a press conference next Wednesday. I'll let you know when it happens, but there's an iHub company that is having an event that values them at about $20 million. So I'll get some, thank you to the city of Palm Springs. You're the guys that had the foresight to get out there and get in front of this, and it takes a long time to grow technology startups, and they're starting to roll out now. And you're seeing other cities wanting to get into this game too. So thank you for being first. Thank you for being the pioneers. And I've gotten some arrows in my back too.
Good. Well, thank you for your work.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Thornton. I'm the CEO of One Future Coachella Valley, and I appropriately came behind Joe because we were spun off from Coachella Valley Economic Partnership 2 years ago. We were the Workforce Excellence Division, and we became One Future Coachella Valley so that we could focus our attention on our mission solely, and that is to increase educational attainment for the Coachella Valley as a driver of economic success. So we work with all 3 school districts, college partners, and hundreds of business partners, actually, who are trying to prepare their future workforce and literally grow your own workforce from within our local student population. So our job is to really sort of open up the talent from within our region. We hear a lot from employers and mostly small businesses about the lack of talent here, and we think that's all about a mismatch between the student pipeline that's coming out of our school districts and our colleges and your jobs. And so it's going to take all of us working together to figure out how we make that match. We're doing a better job with large employers, and we are now working with the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce and would like to work with the other chambers of commerce to make sure that you connect with these great students who are coming out of the pipeline. Our business engagement alignment team just adopted a set of essential skills that large employers, large and small employers, can adopt that really tell the story around what you expect from a student or as they graduate high school or graduate college, and to make them really prepared for the future jobs. And what we'd like to do is make sure that any major institutions, cities, employers, and even small businesses adopt this. We have little cards in the back. Look at this, affirm it, so that we can make sure that students understand what's expected of them, and then also to open the doors so that we can bridge the skills gap. Students oftentimes need, especially first-generation college-going students, might need a little bit extra help to be that great employee. They often have the intelligence, may not have the professional skills. So we invite you to participate in our mission and are very grateful to the City of Palm Springs for letting us be here tonight.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work.
All right, I was here for 2 hours, so I might as well say something, right? I'm Davis Meyer with the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau, and if you're not familiar with what we do, we are the marketing agency essentially for the Coachella Valley, doing very similar work to what the City of Palm Springs Bureau of Tourism does, but for the entire region. And if you are a visitor-facing business, you can have free listings on our website, post your events and special offers. If anything that you have or offer that would be of interest to visitors, we want to know about it, we want to share it, and help promote you and be a resource. So if you are not familiar with the Greater Palm Springs Convention and Visitors Bureau, come see me before you leave, and I can share some information with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Joaquin Tijerina with the Riverside County Economic Development Agency and the Coachella Valley Small Business Development Center. Thank you for the invitation, Jay, and being here with you at this community forum, getting a lot of information from the public as to what they want to really see and how they need help. So that's what we come in. We're a small business development center that
assist entrepreneurs and small business owners who want to start or grow their business. We provide counseling and training at no cost to the business. So we've got a few flyers over there if you want to stop by, and please pick one up. You may not need it now, but hopefully you might know someone that will later. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for your work.
Thanks, everyone.
Any final speakers from our guests about economic development? Seeing none, thank you all for participating.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the feedback. Thank you for being involved. We'll see you at our next Business Retention Subcommittee meeting.